The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Velthraxis collapsed onto the polished obsidian floor. The massive dragon Diplomat's crystalline scales scraped against the stone, creating a sound like breaking glass that echoed through the vaulted hall. His wings, once magnificent structures capable of carrying him across star systems, lay crumpled and useless at his sides. "Please," Velthraxis gasped, his voice a rasping whisper that seemed too small for his enormous body. "I can't walk or fly." The other delegates stepped back, their various forms of concernantina twitching, tentacles recoiling, bioluminescent patterns flickering or speaking the same language of helplessness. The draconian species were proud, ancient beings who had ruled the skies of 100 worlds. To see one brought so low was deeply unsettling. Carol Martinez stood at the back of the observation deck, her prosthetic left leg hidden beneath her formal diplomatic attire. She had been assigned to the human delegation only 3 months ago, still adjusting to life after her military service ended. The doctors had rebuilt her body after the transport crash on Kepler 4 for 2B, but they couldn't rebuild her sense of purpose. Until now, she moved before anyone else could react, her steps quick and decisive despite the slight mechanical whir only she could hear. Lana Lod, her assistant and perhaps the only person in the galaxy who truly understood her, was at her side immediately. "Carol, wait," Lana Lod began, his tall, slender frame struggling to keep pace with her determined stride. "The protocols can wait," Carol replied, already descending the stairs to the council floor. "He needs help now." The draconian ambassador's breathing was labored, each exhale producing small puffs of smoke that dissipated in the recycled air. Up close, Carol could see the tremors running through his massive body, the way his talons scraped uselessly against the floor as he tried and failed to rise. "Ambassador Velthraxis," Carol said softly, kneeling beside his massive head. "My name is Carol Martinez. I'm going to help you." The dragon's eye, easily the size of Carol's head, focused on her. There was fear there, and shame, and something else, a desperate hope that someone, anyone, could do what his own kind could not. You cannot," Velthraxis whispered. "I am too heavy. My people are not here. The medical teams cannot reach me in time. I am finished." Carol placed her hand on the cool scales of his snout. "I've heard that before. About myself. I didn't believe it then, and you shouldn't believe it now." Lana Lod had reached them now, his datapad already out, scanning the dragon's vital signs. "Neural disruption in the spine," he reported, his voice clinical despite the concern in his multifaceted eyes. "Temporary paralysis from the Kreneth assassin's weapon. He'll recover, but not for several hours. And Carol, he weighs approximately 4 tons. Carol stood, surveying the dragon's massive form. 4 tons. She'd lifted vehicles in combat zones, coordinated the movement of artillery pieces, commanded units that moved mountains. This was just another problem to solve. "I need exoskeleton frames," she said, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had commanded troops under fire. "Industrial ones, and gravity dampeners, the kind they use in cargo bays." "Lana Lod, contact station operations. I want them here in 5 minutes." "Carol, even with equipment for minutes now," she interrupted, and Lana Lod was already on his communicator. The other delegates had begun to gather closer, murmuring among themselves. The Hive Mind Collective sent a spokesperson forward, its crystalline voice chiming with curiosity. "The human thinks she can move a draconian. Impossible." "Humans don't know impossible," Carol replied, not taking her eyes off Velth. "We only know not yet." The equipment arrived in 3 minutes. Carol directed the hovering platforms into position with the precision of a surgical strike, attaching gravity dampeners to key points along the dragon's body. She slipped into the exoskeleton framer industrial model designed for moving starship components and felt the familiar sensation of mechanical strength augmenting her muscles. "I need you coordinating the dampeners," she instructed. "Reduce his effective weight by 70%, but keep it stable. I don't want him floating." "Understood," Lana Lod replied, his fingers dancing across multiple control interfaces. Simultaneously, Carol positioned herself at Velthraxis' shoulder, the exoskeleton's hydraulics hissing as she adjusted her stance. "Ambassador, I'm going to need you to trust me. This might feel strange, but I promise you're going to walk out of here." The dragon's eye met hers again, and this time she saw something different there. Recognition, understanding. He had seen this determination before, in soldiers and warriors across the galaxy, but there was something uniquely human about it, a refusal to accept defeat that transcended logic and probability. "Begin," Carol commanded. The gravity dampeners hummed to life, and suddenly Velthraxis' massive weight became manageable. Carol lifted the exoskeleton, translating her movements into tremendous force. Slowly, impossibly, the dragon's body began to rise. Stabilize the rear deck, Carol called out, adjusting her grip. Lanolod, compensate for the weight shift. Lanolod's hands moved in a blur, making micro-adjustments as Carol slowly maneuvered the dragon into a supported position. Other humans from the delegation had rushed down to help, adding their own exoskeletons to the effort, creating a web of support beneath Velthrax's paralyzed form. We're going to walk now, Carol said, her voice steady despite the strain. One step at a time. Humans learned to walk on two legs when everyone else was still crawling. We learned to fly when everyone said it was impossible. We reached the stars when our own people doubted we could. This is just another step. They moved as one unit, Carol, Lanolord, the human delegation, and the massive dragon they carried. It wasn't graceful, it wasn't elegant, but it was effective. Step by step, they crossed the council chamber floor, heading toward the medical bay. Velthrax's voice was thick with emotion. Why do this for me? We Draconians have opposed humanity's council membership. We have fought against your expansion. Carol smiled, though he couldn't see it, because today, you needed help, and humans help. It's what we do best. As they reached the medical bay doors, the paralysis began to fade from Velthrax's extremities. His talons twitched, his tail moved slightly. The medical team rushed forward with antitoxins and neural stimulants. Later, after Velthraxis had recovered and the crisis had passed, the Dragon Ambassador requested a private meeting with Carol. His wings spread wide in a gesture of respect that few humans had ever received. You have shown me something today, he said. Strength is not just in wings or claws or weapons. It is in the refusal to abandon those who have fallen. Carol nodded, her prosthetic leg a quiet reminder of her own falls and recoveries. We're all just trying to walk, Ambassador. Some of us just need a little help getting back up. Lanola, standing beside her as always, added softly. That's humanity, Ambassador. They fall, they rise, and they make sure everyone else rises with them. Velthraxis bowed his massive head. Then perhaps, he said, it is time the Draconians learned to fly alongside them, rather than against them. Carol extended her hand, small and fragile compared to the dragon's talons, and Velthraxis gently touched it with the tip of his claw. In that moment, the galaxy shifted just a little, making room for a new understanding, because that's what humans did best. They didn't just reach for the stars, they made sure everyone else could reach them too.